Hello constant readers, my name is Emily. Welcome to the #DT Project 17. This is my video discussing the Little Sisters of Eluria. My previous video was talking about the inspiration for the title, the text that influenced the title of the series, The Dark Tower. So I looked at the fairy tale child Roland, King Lear's reference of the fairy tale, and Robert Browning's poem. And I talked about my expectations for the series. Today I'm talking about The Little Sisters of Eluria, which was a short story that King originally published in 1998. So in 2002, it was included in the short story collection Everything's Eventual, and in 2009, it was published together with a Gunslinger in a special revised edition. So this was recommended to me to sort of read to get myself into the world of the Dark Tower. So this is the tale of Roland of Gilead when his quest for the Dark Tower is still very young. He is following Walter O'Dim, or the Man in Black, who we hear more about in the Gunslinger. So Roland stumbles across this abandoned town called Eluria, or it seems abandoned anyway, until he's attacked by a bunch of slow mutants, and he's beaten unconscious, and then he's saved by these nuns. And, you know, that's pretty cool. He's being healed and stuff, until he discovers that everyone that the nuns are healing are slowly disappearing, and the theory is that the nuns are doing something to them. It was bizarre, it was fun, and I'm really glad I started with it, because from what I've read of the Gunslinger so far, it's really dry and boring. I think if I was just starting with the Gunslinger, I would have very low hopes for the series, but The Sisters of Eluria was short, it was quick, it draws on the fantastic and the horror genre. So the one thing I'm now wondering, just because of how this is set up, is if, like in the fairy tale child Roland, the Gunslinger is existing in some sort of parallel world. He has guns. It's not typical of the sort of Arthurian legend kind of stuff that fantasy seems to be built on, with the swords and the bows and arrows. We have a modern technology in this fantastic space. And then we get twisting and questioning of the fairy tale versus modern horror when we're introduced to the green folks. And so we have this braiding in of the horror into the fantastic. It subverted my expectations while drawing on my expectations of the fairy tale. So with green folk, if you're familiar with fairy tale, like me, you probably thought, oh, fairy tale stuff, fairies. But then it subverts that by bringing in the horror and the post-apocalyptic. So I'm starting to wonder if we're in some sort of post-apocalyptic modern setting, because the Gunslinger has guns, modern weapons, and we have people who have perhaps experienced radiation poisoning. And so we're in this weird, otherworldly space. So it definitely seems to be in line with the fairy tale. I think if you're also familiar with The Lord of the Rings, you're familiar with Shelob the spider, who is in that cave that Gollum leads Frodo to, and she likes to drink the blood of people. We see that the sisters suspend their victims in bandages, so they're like trapped in a web. The sisters are sort of described as very spider-like. And so we have these female villains I see sort of aligned with Tolkien's spidery female villain, but something about the imagery of sort of these caring, motherly figures, as spider-like, as otherworldly, as all-consuming, led me to think of Neil Gaiman's other mother in Coraline. She's also this sort of dark, fantastic, horrific figure. Obviously, the Dark Tower came before Coraline, but to see this sort of literary female figure develop or connect, and I'm curious to see how women are represented throughout the rest of the series, how gender as a whole is reflected throughout the rest of the series. I mean, here we have some very powerful, dark, consuming, penetrative female figures. So we're going back to Bram Stoker with the danger of women being vampires. It gives them the power of the phallus, the power to penetrate. And we have that with these vampires here. And it's interesting to me to see a lot of these literary elements coming together. Those are my thoughts. I'm excited to see how the rest of the series progresses. I'm excited to see how my expectations set by reading the original child Rowling texts sort of develop over the series, because already I'm sort of seeing things. I'm excited to make these connections. Let me know your thoughts on the Little Sisters of Eluria in the comments down below. Be sure to tag me in your posts with the hashtag DTProject17 and join us for discussion in the Goodreads group. Links for everything are in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.